So, today we're talking about welcoming, we are talking about inclusion, we are talking about how we are all more human than otherwise. And it is the human in us that comes to church, right? For our very human needs of community, of meaning, of having space to explore the big questions of being real with one another. Now, why are we talking about this now, you might ask? Well, with transition and new leadership, often also comes new visitors. And you all are very warm and welcoming. So I'm not saying y'all don't know how to do this, but sometimes it's helpful to have a little refresher, a little reminder. And it is always good to grow on what we're already pretty good at, and to kind of sharpen our edges, see maybe the spots that we weren't noticing that we can improve on. So, to welcome the other, to welcome the stranger, we must first welcome ourselves fully as we are, and we must be very comfortable with ourselves and who we are, right? Because we can feel this, right? Like you can tell when someone's real good with themselves, and even if who you are is very different, you feel very safe and comfortable being your full self around them, right? Some y'all, I'm always swaying. I'm even when I'm sitting, I'm swaying. Most people here don't do this, but I hope that what it displays is that Rev Kayla's very comfortable doing her thing. And I therefore have permission to do my thing, right? So we want others to get that feeling, right? That we are who we are comfy in our skin, and we welcome them to be that way as well. Now, the hard part about this being comfy with ourselves, is to acknowledge and own our own anxieties as well as our own biases, right? That's the hard part. That's the part of ourselves we don't love doing as much, right? By far, the most stressful part of the service is when we light candles, for me. The most stressful part of the service is when we light candles and I have to remember names. And if I was talking to you at the back of the room, I would probably be more likely to remember your name, But it's it's a little stressful, right? So we have to know what makes ourselves stressful and do what we can to just be with it, right? Is that ever going to not cause me stress? Probably not, right? But it's a thing I have to know about myself and acknowledge how it affects how I am in the moment, right? So we have to know our own anxieties, whether it's just talking to other people or talking to particular people who might remind us of someone or who maybe we feel like we haven't talked to before, right? Sometimes we see someone whose identity is very different than us and we kind of play them up because we don't want to say the wrong thing, or we get really excited and then maybe we go a little overboard. Yeah, other people have done this before, right? So to be with others, we also have to know our own anxieties, our own biases, and just acknowledge them, right? This is the biggest part about being in conversation with someone is what's going on in the back of your little head, and saying okay, Kayla back there, I hear that part. And also, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go up and we're just gonna say hi. My name's Rev Kayla. What's your name? That's all we gotta do right now. So the first thing is to just acknowledge what's going on in the backlog of your head and be able to just name it, right? Because when we name it, it's less likely to come out. And sometimes we can just kind of center, breathe, maybe make a little game plan if you're also someone who likes a little game plan. And then you're pretty good. Because how many people have met a new person and you say something, and then you're like, oh my God, why did I just say that? Other people have done this, right? Right. The other reality is we're always going to do that. Like, it's going to keep happening even when we're practicing. And the important part is just to say, like, wow, I'm so sorry, and then move along, right? We don't have to make a big deal about saying something stupid. We can just be like, wow, I'm really sorry. Let's talk about how lovely it was to hear that bird during service this morning, right? We can find some common ground. So that's like the first magical step to how to be welcoming to people who walk through these doors, or maybe through your own home, if you're throwing a party for God or Samantha, or at your place of work, or in your neighborhood, right? That first step is to just be real comfy with ourselves, including acknowledging the anxieties, the biases we might have going on within ourselves. And I think this is particularly important to talk about at church, because the reality is that most of us come to church for the same reasons, right? For those human reasons, for all the reasons Beth named in our poem, right? We come for grief. We come when we're hurting. We come when we are needing community or connection. We come when we are longing for something more in our life, and we're not quite sure how to get it, right? These are the reasons why people come to church, and you know these reasons because you have your own, right? So when we are meeting a new person, I invite you to just remind yourself that there are probably some pretty deeply human reasons that might not be your reasons, but that you can probably understand, even though they're uniquely theirs, deeply human reasons as to why this person is walking in, right? And that's what we want to be able to make space for. Maybe not right away. Not everyone's going to be like, I came to church because this horrible thing happened in my life 2 weeks ago. Might not say that right away. Some might, right? But we want to be able to make space to acknowledge that, like, hey, the human in me sees the human in you, and here we are together, figuring it out. So, in a moment, especially because y'all, like, the energy this morning has just been wonderful. We're gonna practice just a little bit. Meeting a new person and saying hello for it'll be like a speed 2 minutes. And just a couple quick things about the what to do and the what not to do, okay? We'll start with the what not to do, because it happens just too much at churches. And some of you and some of your kids have actually experienced this before, right? Number one, okay, if you have not seen someone at church before, please do not assume that they are new or that it is their first time. Especially when some of us have been taking some time away from coming in person on Sundays, right? For COVID reasons or for our own reasons. It is quite possible that that person who you assume is new has been running our tech shop for 4 months. And they know a lot more about the current church than you might. Right? That's real, right? The church changes and grows depending on who is here. And even though you've been here for 30 years, there might be some people who are actually pretty engaged and know a lot about the church today. And you could maybe learn from them, and they can learn from you, and it'll be great. Okay, so number one, don't assume someone is new. It is great to say, and I've done this to some of you, not anyone who's here physically right now, but I really knew this person. I did not recognize them on that Sunday morning, and I was like, thank God I did not say, are you new here? And I said, I'm Rev Kayla. I don't recognize you. What's your name? And they were like, oh, and took down their mask. And then I was like, oh my gosh, wow, I dedicated your child, It really happened. Right over there. Okay, so we do not say, are you new? We say something like, I don't think we've met before. I'm not sure I've seen you before. What's your name? Or just, great to see you. This is my name. Okay, right. Okay, so we get that. What don't we say? Hire you new. Let's all say it together now so we don't have to say it again. Hire you new. Hey, great. Okay, so we got that out of our system. Things that are great to do are to introduce yourself and to bring up a conversation about a shared experience you just had, which is likely this service. You know, it could be like, gosh, I really hate that hymn, and it always bums me out a little when we sing it. Or it could be like, wow, I really loved the reading, or I really love that bird that was singing outside on the window, right? You can bring up something that you just shared to talk about. Those are like easy tricks for good conversation. Okay, so speed, 2 minutes. Find a person or 3 people around you and just like pretend that you don't know who they are. Introduce yourself, say hi to them, and maybe try and bring up one little conversation starter to get going, okay? And make sure both people do it or all 3 in your triad do it. Ready, go. If not both people have talked, make sure someone else is talking. Hello. Hello. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap 2 times. If you can hear me, clap 3 times. If you can hear me, clap 4 times. If you can hear me, clap 5 times. Hey, give yourself a round of applause. Hey, great. Okay, that wasn't too bad, right? Yeah, you all even had fun. Great. Okay, so we'll remember to introduce ourselves. We'll remember to not assume someone's new. We will remember to get comfy with ourselves, to acknowledge our own anxieties and biases, and we will remember to just be present with another human who has come here with some real human needs. We can do that, right? Now, my challenge to you, similar to the challenge Adina issued you, is about this concept of preemptive radical inclusion. Preemptive meaning we are welcoming someone before they are even here. Now, the easiest description of this I have heard is that, like, you are throwing an ice cream social and an ice cream party, right? and you want to make sure that everyone has a really great time at this ice cream party. And maybe you are like a vanilla and chocolate person, so those are the first ice creams that you buy. But then you realize that like someone else might really like those berry flavors, because I've heard those people exist, right? So we're gonna get some berry flavors, right? And then we realize that there are people who are lactose intolerant or who are vegan, right? So we're gonna buy like the coconut-based ice cream and like that lactate ice cream in the blue just for good measure, because what if someone doesn't like the coconut, you know? And then when we get toppings, we're gonna get a whole range of toppings, right? So preemptive radical inclusion is a lot like that. It's about thinking about, even before they are in our doors, who might come through and what might they need so that we can have it there for them. Whether it's an ice cream social, whether it's how we are setting up our sanctuary, we want all to know that they are welcome, and we certainly want everyone to be able to eat some very delicious ice cream, right? So that is my challenge to you all, to think about that over the summer and in the coming church year, in your own lives and here at church.